Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well today. And do you remember a man by the name of Hydra Retro? The same man that brought us Hydra Hill not that long ago that everyone seemed to really enjoy it? Well, he's back. And he seems to have done it again. Welcome to Diablo MX. This is a replica track. Not sure where in the world Diablo MX is located, but I've just had a quick fly around before pressing the record button. And I really want to write it. This looks like it could generally be one of the only tracks in all of MX Bikes that's got released that I could happily say I think I could clear each and every jump in real life. Track looks really fun. Just like tabletop after tabletop after tabletop. They all look nice and flowy. Looks like you can get pretty steezy off of them. And then we've got our main central piece here in the middle, which is the hills going up and down. And it looks really fun, I'll be completely honest with you. Scaling looks a little bit on the smaller side. I am on a 2-stroke today, however, it's not the usual 125. We are instead running the 252 stroke, and I'm very happy that the 450 skins just transfer over easily from this bike to this one. I don't know if you can tell, as I'm moving my stick along to the right here, it is still like stuttering a little bit. So I'm still having some controller issues. So if you see me randomly fly over a corner, you know why. But I'm really excited to get into this one. And I just wanted to point out a couple of details. So there's no like, there's nothing that he's missed out here at all. Like this is way far out from the rest of the track. You won't even see it when you're riding. Yeah, he's gone through the effort of putting in little water bits here and there. We've got some horses dotted around, and it's like if I float right down to the floor, there's like no gap between object and floor. He's been very like precise and particular about where he's placed everything, and even gone through the effort of doing like animated flags as well, which I know can be quite a big pain in the bum in the game. So it's just really impressive to see. And honestly, I think he could soon become one of the community's like top creators just with the work that he puts out. It looks easy. I guess it very much isn't easy, and he spends a hell of a lot of time and effort on this, but he's certainly got a knack for it. And even down to texturing. Texturing looks really good. You know, the track gets darker on the bits that you'd associate with being ridden on more, a bit lighter on the outsides, and then the off track is obviously completely different. And it just looks really well done. It's like we've got enough objects around to make it feel like there's life going on, but not so many that it looks cluttered. And it's just really impressive stuff. And we have 40 gates by the looks of it as well. I think that was my only nitpick of Hydra Hill, that it didn't have enough starter gates. So again, he's gone, he's remedied that, and this should be really fun to spin some laps on. So without further ado, let's see how she rides.
For all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINS at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINS15 fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe.
Oh, I couldn't tell you last time I rode a 252 stroke, and even then, the one that I'd always default to was the Fantic. I have no idea why, but I think just because of the sound, it sounded nice. But since I've got this really, I personally think litty setup on the old KTM at the moment, especially with like the helmet, boots, gear, bike combos, everything all working together, I thought we'd rock out the KTM today and just have some fun. Really. If anybody's interested in getting the dreads, then I can link them for you down below as well. I had a few comments yesterday on the Glen Helen live stream, so I can leave that for you. I can leave a link to the track as well, and we'll see how she rides. I mean, so far, into when I said that it looked a little bit small in the camera, I think that might have just been the replay camera doing that, because jumps and corners so far seem to actually be pretty bang on for the 252 stroke. And very nice and floaty already. I won't do third person the whole time, don't worry. I just really enjoy looking at and seeing my skins. You get to see it so much more in third person compared to first. You just get to see my arms and wrists. It gets a little bit boring sometimes, but yeah, really happy with this. So thank you very much to the AJP boys for hooking me up with some very nice drip. Unfortunately, couldn't put that drip on the box at all in yesterday's live stream. I was just not playing well. There's nothing else to say about it, really. Just kept making loads of silly mistakes and crashing a bunch. Track was difficult, don't get me wrong, but we're all riding on the same track at the end of the day. So if some people can go and just set burner after burner after burner, then I should be able to as well. So hopefully we can remedy that for round 2 at Hangtown and see how she goes. And in terms of like feedback for parlour track, I didn't mind the roughness. Once I got my head around it, that seemed fine. And I didn't mind how most of the ruts were built. I think my only issue was it seemed like on a lot of the insides of the corners, the rut seemed to be the biggest, but not so big, not deep enough to the point where you'd have to slow down for it, but it was built up rather than built down. So what happened is it did end up getting a little bit on the one line side of things. I think it might have been, I think Aiden said that he was halfway through Moto number 2 and he was still stuck in 30th, just like struggling to find a way past people. And I made a couple of passes, like legit passes. There was a couple of corners where you could mix things up a little bit and rail around the outside and try and get a slingshot. But for the most part, it did end up being a little bit follow the leadery, if that's even correct English, and you just have to wait for someone to crash or make a mistake. Parlour does seem to get like that in real life. I mean, at least watching back the race last week, it did seem to be quite one-lined, so can't hate on it too much. And yeah, but just little constructive criticism there, a little bit of feedback. I mean, the track looked incredible. I think JV and Hell Machine done an incredible job on texturing and objects, and for the most part, the actual terrain was fine. I mean, when I was riding around the track learning it, and then riding it a little bit before the races, it's really, really enjoyable just to sit there and run laps. It was just then in a race sense that it became a little bit more on the difficult side. So hopefully I will improve my riding for the next round, and then we'll see also what the ruts bring for Hangtown as well. Hangtown's usually a very, very fast track. The only bit that tends to slow you up a little bit is in that first half of the lap where you've got that steep like downhill off camber, which sometimes physics-wise in MX bikes can get a little bit funky. So I'm interested to see how the bikes handle that this year round, and interested to see how rough they made it as well. I was watching Luke Sullivan's 250 point of view from MX Simulator on Hangtown, and I'm not sure if I've just been away from Sim for a long time now and forget how the gameplay differs to bikes. But it looks like they've done a really good job of like intentionally slowing you down, just with like smaller ruts, so you couldn't just get fully cranked over and roll them, and how the rough was, and just how they'd built the off camber and its steepness. It looked really good. Like, it looked super realistic with the speeds they were going. But again, I'm aware that's completely different game physics, and bikes at the moment is a very, very fast game. Like, we are going disgusting speeds. So we are pushing the limits, to be fair. You know, people are getting better and better, which means they get faster and faster, which means the tracks have to be built rougher and rougher to slow us down, and there's going to be a point where it has to give, you know. But I'm all for level of roughness. I just think we need a few little tweaks in terms of trying to make all the tracks more multi-lined. There's some parts of Parlour, to be fair, that you can do nothing about. Like when you're over the far back end of the course and you have that weird little uphill into the tight 180 to the right and then left 90, you can't really do much about that as a track creator. In real life, it looked very, very one-lined as well, to be fair. I don't think I saw anybody make a single pass in those two corners the entire weekend on the real life races. So yeah, no issue about that at all. So let's go back to Mr. Diablo MX right now. Again, replica track. So if any of you have had the luxury of riding this in real life, please let me know how good it is down below, because honestly, this looks right up my alley. You know, I'm a bit of a wimp when it comes to riding. If I was to hit this tabletop right here, I could hit that tabletop in real life no problem. This one maybe not so much. That's a bit of a big boy. However, if you used to then scoop out the insides of that tabletop and turn it into a double, my chocolate starfish would be very, very tight indeed. I probably wouldn't go for it. There's just that, I think it's the risk factor, and like, you've got a little safety net, haven't you, when it's a tabletop rather than a double. But yeah, this looks generally really, really enjoyable. One day I'll go riding in the US. But, I mean, I think me and Charlie are still having the plan to go to the US to watch Anaheim 1. We haven't discussed it any further, and it is getting a little bit late on in the year. We're halfway through the year, and I think we need to go ahead and start booking things at some point, because we've already booked and paid for the Vets MX of Nations tickets, which is in the back end of July, I think, or August. I actually can't remember. So we're going to go into that. We've then also booked the actual MX of Nations at Matterley Basin, so we'll go and see in that. And I hope to see a lot of you there at both those events, to be fair. Being in the UK, I know a lot of the UK MX bike scene, they all go to these races in real life, so it'd be nice to meet a bunch of people. I mean, when we went to Canada Heights the past weekend, I got to see a couple of you as well. Shook some hands, said hello, and done my usual social awkwardness thing. But it was nice seeing some people, and if any of you... he wasn't there for round 1 at Parlour, to be fair, but if any of you watch my Supercross live streams religiously, then you would see Ken's, who started doing really well recently. He was there and he was actually riding, so he was cheering him on. He may or may not have got into someone in turn 2 in Moto 1 and crashed and had to try and come back from the back of the pack. And then in Moto 2, his clutch may or may not have gone, so he didn't manage to put on the best of performances for us watching him. But again, it's still nice seeing people and putting faces to names. Probably one of the best parts, to be fair. And there's no no real awkwardness either. It's not like how you'd expect with a bunch of Discord mods rocking up with their neckbeards and not being able to say anything to each other. It was fairly chillaxed. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh, Jesus Christ, almost looped my Larry there. But as you can see, this track flows very, very well. The jump sizing feels nice and natural. For the most part, I don't think I'm really casing anything by a lot or having to really hit anything wide open pin to barely get over it. So I'm really happy with my choice of bike. I really, really am. The two-strokes in this game, they don't get enough love. I'd love to see a series at some point giving love to the two-strokes. Kind of similar how we have 450 and 250 classes now. It would be nice to have a 250 two-stroke and 125 class, but like set series. I think that'd be quite cool. Just where they've got their own individual ones. I'd probably do the 250s to be fair. Some people are absolutely like machines on these bikes. I'm okay on them, but within limit. And I like the rough is good. The rough's nice. It causes you to check up a little bit, but not to the point where you go wadding yourself over the bars. This is actually really, really enjoyable. Or get on the brakes, on the brakes, on the brakes. And the ruts hold you well enough to where you can carry a good amount of speed into them. I was worried about maybe not being able to get up and over jumps like that from the inside, but it seems like it's no problem at all. I don't think there's any outrageous lines where you can send one tabletop all the way to the next one. And the jump faces are built in a way to where you can get a little bit steezy as well. They boot you up a bit higher than I expected. I thought these would be like nice, like really low ones. That one there's got a little bit of a kick to it. This one's like, yeah, yeet up into the moon, float your way across, have a little breather in the air. And he's done a really, really good job. I could go as far to say that whilst in terms of appearance and I guess uniqueness, Hydra Hill was probably a bit better than this. In terms of how this track rides and how fun it is to just spin laps on, I think this one might be above Hydra Hill. I don't know if that's a lone opinion. I don't know if you guys share that opinion. I feel like a lot of you have probably played it by the point you see this video. If you have, please do let me know your thoughts. And again, if you've ridden here, how good of a job has Mr. Hydra Retro done at recreating it, since it is a replica? I don't know how much he's changed it or tweaked it to work with MX Bike's physics. It does tend to happen quite a lot, as I've said before. If you try replicating a track like for like, a lot of the time it doesn't work out too well and can be a bit boring. But this feels really, really fun and enjoyable. And the fact that it's got 40 gates, I can very much see this being a really popular online track. Kind of similar sort of vibes to Farm 14 and Walnut, where it has that same sort of fun factor where there's nothing super difficult or challenging about it, but it's a little bit more advanced in terms of technique just because you have a couple of ruts dotted around and a little bit of chop here and there. But if you like go in stepping stones and trying to improve at the game, you'd go like Forest to your Walnuts and Farm 14s, then through to a track like this, then through to like a GP track maybe, etc. And it's just like a level of progression, and it's good. I'm really happy that we do get these intermediate tracks, and I think getting into the game now is probably the best time for anybody, to be honest. The quality of tracks you boys get these days is absolutely insane. It was nothing like this back when I first started playing. We're very spoiled. I will say that. We are very, very spoiled. And I'm happy. I'm happy with where the game is right now. I just wish the actual game itself would have as much passion put into it as the tracks get put into it, and the bikes get put into it, and the paints get put into it, and the gear gets put into it, and the boots get put into it, and the helmet gets put into it, and the gloves get put into it, and everything gets put into it by the community, but not by the developer at the moment. It's really, really a shame. The infrastructure in this game does need changing. Guys, I even saw someone comment last night, obviously new to MX Bikes, saying that, like, just asking a general question, like, are the 250s and 450s in the same server? Because, you know, we had staggered races last night. It took a very, very long time. And it's just like, no, although I really, really wish it could be. Imagine how fun it would be to have servers that could handle like 70 people rather than just 35 that we have at the moment. And you have the 250 and the 450 class in the same server, and then the 250s do their race. The 450s then do their race on the road that the 250s built up. The 250s then do Moto 2 on top of that road, and then the 450s have the roughest track at the very end of the day. It's something that needs to happen. You know, it's a motocross game. It's true to life. I think it's one of the things that will just separate it from anything else that tries to challenge it in the future. And the online experience of MX Simulator is far superior than MX Bikes right now. Whether it's just server stability or the netcode in general, or even where if there's extremely laggy people, you know, they go invisible so you can't really hit them at any point. I know Bikes has that as a feature, but it doesn't always get used and implemented, and even when it does get used, it's not like a constant. They could be flickering, and then you could suddenly go through them, and then they'd spawn back in again, and you'd hit them. And the aspect of where people go invisible in qualifying, let's say, when you get really close to them, I don't think that takes hold quick enough. So they're still already in your way, and you can't see the ruts that you're trying to hit anyway to set good laps. And yeah, there's a lot I would change, and I don't know when it's going to come or if it will ever come, unfortunately. So we have to make do with what we've got, and just thankfully we do have a really, really good community at the moment to, I guess, keep us going on the tracks and bikes and everything side of thing, like even down to having websites to host races on. It's just such an important thing I think we take for granted. So thank you, everybody that takes the time out of their day to make this community better than it was the day before. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure there's a lot of unspoken people that really enjoy it as well. You always get people who end up hating on one thing or another, but they're always going to be like the vocal minority, aren't they? But most of us are really, really appreciative of what we've got. So going down this track, give it a go and let me know what you think. I don't think there's anyone that's going to not enjoy this, unless maybe you're like a 450 only rider and you think maybe it's a little bit underscaled, but no, just adventure a little bit. Go outside your boundaries, try a different bike here and there, maybe try something a little bit slower. I mean, this 252 stroke has been really, really fun. I don't think it's been overkill at all. It's kind of like the sweet spot. So 254 stroke could probably also be good. If you are maybe on the better, faster side of things, then even a 125 could be fun around here. Just absolutely wring its neck out and see how well it goes. So thank you very much, Hydra. This has been a really, really enjoyable track. Just curious to see what your next creation is going to be. W all around, I would actually rate this higher than Hydra Hill, just in terms of fun factor, for me personally. Not sure what anybody else's opinion is on that. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I think everybody else is as well. So thank you everyone else for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, a cheeky little like and subscribing to the channel would be amazing if you're new as well. Have a lovely rest of the day, what you're up to, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.
I'm sacrificing my life, I'm sacrificing my mind, I'm sacrificing my sanity, but most importantly, I'm sacrificing my time. Boy, I feel fine, I feel like I am a king. Honestly, I can't complain. Even with faith that's the size of a grain of some salt, I will still move a mountain and do what I want.